love to ask you the one question we ask all of our guests, which is, what's been the most important question that you've asked yourself in order to move forward in life?
Who am I?
Yes.
3 words.
Yeah.
Oh, I think for me, it really was career related. I was thinking, how do I want to kind of design my life in a way that fulfills me and makes me feel like I'm fully grounded and centered? And I discovered that all my life, or at the very least, all the way from my very first internship, I was always fascinated by tech and both its power and potential to do good, but also be abused at the same time. So that took me on a very long and winding journey, all the way from government to private sector, and now back to government again. And I think it was precisely because I had exposure to different tech companies during my time as an intern, or even as a freelancer, or even as a consultant. I think that was really pivotal for me to kind of recenter and say, okay, I think I found what I really want to do for a big part of my career.
So mine's a two-parter.
Sure.
Okay, so the first part is, am I doing this for my heart or out of fear? Yeah.
Am I doing this from my heart or out of fear?
Yeah, because I did a lot of that. The other is it going to honor my commitment to learning, growing, my spirituality, and is it going to fill my heart? Because, like, for me, my faith is me. I'm not me without my faith. So
Yeah,
does it
that's like a good anchoring question
Yeah,
on where to give your time and energy.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Most important thing that I need to do in the coming 12 months, and why. I think like getting the clarity reminds us to prioritize. It doesn't mean that you drop everything else. It simply means that keeping in mind what's really important, and being super clear as to why that's the case.
Yeah. Okay, so you introduce kind of a recency, next 12 months, to try and be focused.
It's the same homework that your coach gave you.
Okay.
Who am I? It's a question that I've been struggling with for the past several years. Back to your point on being multi-hyphenated, having different passions and also multiple identities, whether it's in the workplace or outside it. So that's something I'm still working on. A group of girlfriends and I, we do have this thing I call the quarterly countdown, where we review what happened in the past quarter and then we look forward to the next quarter. And this question often comes up because we will talk about that when we do the review, we'll talk about what's happened at work, but also our health, mental health, and family life and community life. And then this question, I think every one of us in that little group that gathers every quarter is something that always comes up, and we're always questioning, okay, who am I? Who have I been in the past quarter, and who do I want to be in the next quarter? And hopefully that would bring us some clarity soon.
I got a chance to cheat because I got to hear the other question beforehand. So, but I'll be honest, my first reaction when I heard your question is, again, I'm a father, and I've got a daughter, and she's 20 years old. She's a university student in the U.S. And for those of you that have had difficult teenage daughters, you know what I'm talking about, right? I said between the ages of 13 and 16, I wanted to lock her in a closet sometimes. And there was one day, I remember, and I forget what she did. It was totally forgettable, is the point. And I yelled at her. And I remember thinking afterwards, I yelled at her in a way that I wasn't proud. And I'm just like, that's not what I aspire to be as a father. And I remember, I don't know how it happened, but it wasn't long after that, J.R. Rudinger wrote this famous poem about, like, it's like an apology to his child. And it resonated with me because in the poem talks about how, he was 30 years older than the child the day they were born, and 30 years older ever since, and trying to give them all the knowledge that they've gained in that 30 years. And so the question I ask myself is like, wow, how can I be a better father? So I made a couple of resolutions. One, I decided I'm never going to yell at her ever again. And boy, has she tested me. I tell you what, boy, I could be hot-headed, and I have to keep that promise, and I have to remind myself. It's like I want to tattoo it on my hand so I can't forget, right? But boy, she could test me, but I have to remind myself, she is If there's one person in my life that I have to have a relationship with that I love, it's my daughter, and she's always going to be there. And so I think if you asked her, she would say, I'm doing a good job of that. Second thing I promised myself, and this kind of is applicable to networking, because I think we all get caught up in this, checking our phone, doing email, sitting in the corner looking at your iPhone when you should be talking to people. When she was younger, she would come up to me and, hey, Dad, I've got a question. Let me finish this email. Let me finish this call. Give me 2 minutes. And again, for those of you that are teenage daughter, if you do that, you go back 2 minutes later. What's up, honey? Nothing. It's over, right? You missed the moment. So the second promise I made myself, when she calls, I answer. And the funny thing is, one of the best moments, and some people have heard this story before, my CEO was interviewing me on a global town hall, video town hall. I remember I was in Brisbane. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? I was really tired. And of course, high school teenagers, they don't sleep, right? So 1 o'clock in the morning is nothing for my daughter. And they were just introducing me. And I don't know how many thousands of people are on the call. There's a couple thousand, 3,000 people.
Yeah.
And it was my boss that was going to be interviewing me. And he said, just as they start to introduce me, my screen went black. And it was because my daughter called. She's in Japan. I'm in Australia. She calls. My promise is I'm going to answer. I flipped over on Teams or Zoom, whatever I was on. I answered the call. I said, what's up, honey? And she had something that was not really all that important. I said, well, hey, I got a couple thousand people in the line. Can I kind of flip back over? And she's like, yeah, call me back. And I said, okay. And I flipped back over, and my boss was like, hey, where'd you go? I said, oh, well, my daughter called, and she had to rant about something at me. And I promised that if she calls, I would answer. And the fan mail I got afterwards, because you could imagine, most people would think, a member of executive committee for a Fortune 500 company would never put their child or anybody like that before they think of you like as so driven on, you got to do the work. And, but no, the most important thing in your life is sometimes, not in the office. It's, it's the little girl at home, and, I've got to be a father. And so those are the two promises I've made to myself. And I think I've done a pretty good job keeping them so far.
That's a big question. Yeah. That has changed over time as I've sort of gotten older and gotten more experience. Right now, for me, that would be, does that align to my values? Values is a big thing for me. And, understanding, I've spent a long time understanding who I am, what I want to stand for, what I want to leave as a legacy from my children to, this is mommy, this is what she's done, this is who she is. So for me, in anything I do, I think in the back of my mind is, does this align to my values, and is this the legacy that I want to leave? Is this part of the legacy that I want to leave? And I've made a lot of decisions based on that. Good, bad. I've left my last role based on that because it wasn't the legacy that I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted to be known for. And it certainly wasn't the values that was important to me.
Who am I?
Yes.
3 words.
Yeah. Big question. How long did it take you to answer that?
I'm still answering that.
Yeah.
And I think, at different stages of your life, you are a different individual, right? And I think it's important for us to recognize that, right? I'm not the same guy I was 20 years ago today.
One of the things I like to ask myself is, do I feel good before? Do I feel good during? And do I feel good after I do something? Mm-hmm. And there's very few things I feel that way about. And that informs me about what I would like to give my energy to. And it can be, for example, this podcast, we've been planning for this for weeks, right?
Gosh.
And, getting ready this morning. And then the production is very much online and offline on all the things that come together for the show. But I know I'm going to walk away energized, but also hosting dinners at my house.
Okay.
I love planning for it. I love when it happens, and then I love the after effect because I am a connector and I like bringing people together. So that's one question I like to ask myself in discovering my passion.